I'm making this like a little voiceover introduction because my video ended up being like a big like ramble fest with no like point. So just so you know what you're getting into, this is me just going through my like stack of like hobbies on my desk essentially. I just have a stack that I keep with me. So if you've been seeing like the personal curriculums people are making where they like have, you know, like their books that they're reading, things that they're trying to learn, they make little curriculums for themselves. That's basically what I'm doing. It's like a Louise Carmen tour, but also like I kind of go into my like history with writing and like what I have learned in the past from writing, and then like what I hope to learn in the future from writing, and kind of like how I want to combine my like personal experiences with writing pre-college, and then also like take what I learned from my writing degree in college and like kind of combine them now that I have graduated and I have all this wonderful free time. So it's a kind of a combination of everything. It's mostly journal tour, introduction to me as a person, and then like my writing lore, because this is like a writing YouTube channel. I'm a writer, so that's kind of the point of the channel and the video. So that's kind of it. It's gonna be like a bunch of side quests, but like I really am just going down the stack of books on my desk and kind of like giving you the lore behind each thing, why I have this ecosystem, because basically a journal ecosystem. I have my journals, I have my sketchbook, and then I have my books that I'm working out of, my little creative side quests, etc. And then how I kind of hope that all of it together like makes me a better writer as well, because you know I have my drawing, I have my bits and bobs, I'm doing the artist's way, etc. right now. So that's kind of all I have going on in this video, and it's kind of long, but I feel like I also have a tendency to yap, which like when I write my novels, my chapters are like so long. My chapters are literally so long for no reason. But you know what? It's not my problem that the world's attention span is suffering, and I would like to help fix our attention spans. So bear with me. Know that there are always at least 2 wieners in my seat at all times. And by wiener, I mean weenie dog. Okay, so currently I want to like document my process of working on my what I'm calling my prose collection. Not sure what else you would call it. Think like a poetry collection, but some of the pieces are like prose essays, question mark. Not really sure what else you would call that, so I'm just calling it a prose collection.
Also currently trying to tell myself that I don't need to buy a free Write Traveler, because I'm like, well, it's distraction free and like you can bring it to like the library, even though like I can literally bring my iPad, which I have this like nice keyboard on, to the library and just like turn off the Wi-Fi. But like it's...
Anyway, so what I'm currently doing right now is, this is my Louise Carmen, which I bought a Louise Carmen because they're so like, frankly, they're quite aesthetic. They're very cute. You know, I mean, I have mine folded wrong, kind of. It's supposed to be like this. And then, you know, you have your charms. I only bought 1 charm from Louise Carmen because they're very expensive. So, and then I don't even have any charms on the side, even though I like really wanted to have charms on the side. Whatever. This is what it looks like. I've had it since May. Maybe since April. I think I've had it since April. And this is what the patina looks like. I love it. It's so shiny. I love the like spots on it. I love that it's got like these little like dark spots. I like that the edges are dark. Not what the video is about, but I love my Louise Carmen. Okay. And I bought it because they're aesthetic, they're very cute. And then mine is like not even like aesthetic. I mean it is, but like I don't have like all the bits and bobs on it because I just like, I pick it up to like write in it and then I like kind of put it down. But basically what I'm doing, or what I have been doing, is going through I was recently working at a desk job, which I don't work at anymore. And while I was working there, I would write, which I did this before, like when I was in school, because I have a degree in creative writing, which like I can make a whole nother video about. Like, do you need one? No. Did I have a good time? Yeah. and I would be like in class, like not writing classes, like I would be in, you know, like biology or whatever, writing poetry because I wasn't allowed to have my iPad. So I wrote poetry in my notebook. So I did the same thing at work. I would write poetry, either poetry or ideas for poetry. So like this is whenever I would be like bold enough to actually just like have my notebook out at my desk. But whenever I wasn't writing in my notebook, these dogs are about to lose their marbles and bark. Right. So I would a lot of times just write on sticky notes, and so now some of the sticky notes are just like paper clipped in here if they're not like sticky anymore, and then I would kind of write notes about like what I wrote on the sticky note and like kind of explain like the vibe, because I would get these like fleeting ideas for a poem and then like write, you know, like my little like thought, and so I would come back to it later and write more like what I kind of like wanted to say. So that's kind of what was going on there. A lot more sticky notes. So I'm pretty sure this is all like a poem, like one poem, and then it's like actually double-sided. So all these have like writing on the other side. So I just would transfer these, edit them, so that way they're like a file on my computer. This is like something I ripped out from another notebook to put in here. That's why I really like the Louise Carmen, which obviously you don't have to have the Louise Carmen. You can buy any refillable journal. I like the trifold way more than a non-trifold. The trifold just means it has this flap that comes all the way around to like fully condense it, instead of this coming all the way out like a normal notebook. Because to me, the point of a traveler's notebook or the point of a refillable notebook is to, for me, what the purpose that they serve to me is to collect all of your ideas from your travels or whatever into like a safe keeping. It's like a cupboard for like your writing. Like all of these notebooks and like clippings and everything are like silverware that you put in like a silverware organizer. You know what I mean? It's like it's an organizer for your thoughts, less than a notebook. So people are like, oh, it's a really overpriced journal. It's not even technically a journal. You know, I'm like explaining to my dad that I bought this fuck ass piece of leather and it's not even a journal. You still have to like buy the journals. Right. I'm like not helping my case. It's not even a journal though. It's like, it's just an organizer. So like if that is the case, something about the mental image, like the image of the trifold coming around and like condensing it like this is like more satisfying and like makes more sense to me and is more like enjoyable to me. So the other traveler's journals that there are, like that are not trifold and are just like a normal notebook with like a band that you refill, this is like something that no one cares about at all. I'm probably gonna cut this all out, but other brands make a trifold notebook. I recommend getting them from like Etsy if you don't want to make them yourself, because you can make them yourself. But what I found was that the supplies to make my own from Amazon was already like over $100, and at that point I was like, okay, well now I'm just paying for the labor and like the experience, which is the extra way to like the cost that I spent. So like making it at home is low-key expensive, but if you're gonna make more than one, the supplies pay for themselves. But I only wanted one, so again, this doesn't matter. But yeah, what I like about the Louise Carmen is that it's just a place to like collect everything, because my brain works in a very interesting way. I say it's very interesting, and then I think of that Tumblr post of that girl that was like, she thought she had schizophrenia, so she went to the therapist, and then the therapist said that she just had thoughts, which was probably a fake story like everything else on Tumblr. But that's what I feel like when I'm like, my brain works really interestingly, but it does to me. I want everything to be separate and organized, but also in the same place. So that's why I really love Pinterest, because everything is on Pinterest, like .com, and it's like all on my boards. So it's all on Pinterest, but it's all on separate boards. What I hate on Pinterest, I can't have one board with like because you can have subsections within one Pinterest board. I've never liked that. Sorry, my hair is like still wet. It's not greasy, I swear. The Louise Carmen or some kind of refillable journal is the same way, where all the notebooks are separate. So they're all for different things, and I can go and, but like they're part of one, like I call my Louise Carmen Esoterica, which is what's embroidered on it, because that's like what I call my like collection of like all of my writing is all like a part of Esoterica. But I also like that you can just take, which you can do this with any notebook. It doesn't have to be a notebook within like a organizer. But that's why I really like doing stuff on sticky notes sometimes, because I like how like individual and like singular a sticky note is. Like I think even if I didn't have some kind of organizer, I would still, look at how shiny it is. Ooh. Even if I didn't have some kind of organizer, I would still try writing poetry on sticky notes and then adding them to like, or just pasting them into like a regular notebook. Something about, oh, I want to write a poem, but a journal is too, because I like for the life of me cannot draft a poem like for the first time on a computer. If I do, it's very, very rare, but I already find it so much easier to draft poetry physically, but drafting it on like a sticky note is so much less daunting because you don't have like the whole empty notebook. So especially if you're like trying to teach yourself how to write poetry, or you're like trying to write more poetry and you're like new to it, definitely write poetry on like a sticky note, and then you can paste it somewhere to keep it later. So like sometimes I'll go like this is like thoughts about like a poem, and then I'm like continuing my thoughts later. I'm like, this is kind of what I'm trying to say, which this piece, this and this and this and this, they're all for the same poem idea that I'm working on it right now. I still cannot for the actual life of me get this to like work, because it's either too literal or it like makes no sense. So sometimes I don't know, but it helps to come back to, because I'm like, okay, I've just been reworking the same poem. I finally had to just scrap the whole thing and go back to like the original like thing that it was this sticky note that like sparked like this. So sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you go down rabbit holes and you're like, scrap all the rabbit holes, go back to the first thing, which is why it's good to document like your poem process sometimes. Like if you get like a tiny little sliver of an idea, like a singular line or like a concept or whatever, write it all down, and then you can kind of track your thoughts as you create the poem. And if you still like really like the essence of what you're trying to write but it's not working out, you can go back. So highly recommend sticky notes. Highly recommend documenting your drafting process. If you don't draft poems, very much recommend, because you can also then go back and make multiple poems from like one idea. Because personally, I like to write short poems. I don't know, that's just my thing. So sometimes one poem doesn't say everything I need it to say, so I'll go and write another poem. Anyways, not really that important. There's my Louise Carmen rant. Not really even sure what I started this video to say. I think I'm kind of just going down my stack of like stuff I'm working on right now. So I have the Louise Carmen. I have, this is my, oh, I need to like actually do this. I like really forgot. I'm trying to start over the Artist's Way, because something about the Artist's Way is just like, you're supposed to do it in the morning before you do anything else, and I keep forgetting. This is what I'm doing in the Artist's Way or the morning pages in, because it's just some random journal that I have. I don't really want to do the Artist's Way in my Louise Carmen, because the Artist's Way is supposed to be like kind of separate from your creative work, and it's just like a brain dump. Not the Artist's Way. The morning pages are supposed to be like kind of separate from your creative work, and you're supposed to just dump it all into one thing and then put it away for the day, because it's just like to get everything that's like, say, let's pretend you only have like a certain capacity of thoughts in your brain at a time, which is probably not pretend and it's actually probably real. Me not knowing anything about science. In order to be creative, you have to like get rid of some space. Like I think there's some quote about like I haven't been creating because I'm too busy like surviving. You know, your brain is too busy fighting for your life with all of, you know, your woes, your worldly woes in your brain. You get rid of them in a journal, and it's just a brain dump, and then your brain theoretically has more space to be creative. So in my mind, it makes more sense to keep it separate and not in the Louise Carmen. But I actually need to do my morning pages today because I already forgot. I had to start over because the first week I did them, I didn't write the short story that you're supposed to write, and I also didn't go on the artist date. So I actually didn't really do anything except journal, except for I did make some like breakthroughs in the journaling. So I feel like it was not for nothing. My tiny like broken straw. I have my sketchbook, which I did have a notebook designated for sketchbooking in the Louise Carmen, but I'm still gonna keep it. It's the very, actually, let me go over what's in my Louise Carmen because I didn't even like in the notebook. I'm trying not to like, it doesn't matter if it's a Louise Carmen. In my journal, this is the subcategories of my journal, because you can also do this in a journal that's not separated. You could just have one thick journal, okay, with tabs in it. Personally, I like the feeling of it being in a separate journal, but this is the journal, which I don't journal a lot these days, but my actual journal. This is for poetry. It's almost full. I almost need a new one. Let's see. This is for long form fiction. So this is anything that has to do with my novels or, short stories and things like that. That is what's in here. See, I have more sticky notes. It's like name ideas though. This is for video essays when I was really wanting to do YouTube, which I think I'm gonna post this as a YouTube video. I think it's getting too long to be for TikTok, but this is for video essays I would like to do, or just longer video topics, so I can keep track of them there. This is like a life notes or my reading journal. So whenever I'm reading books about writing and whatnot, I'm about to reread, which is going to be the next book in the stack. I'm about to reread Save the Cat, and I was reading Mary Oliver's poetry handbook. So there's notes about Mary Oliver's poetry handbook in here. And then the sketchbook is at the end. I'm gonna leave this in here just for like quick doodles. Like if I'm out and about and this is all I have on me, I can sketch whatever. This is me as a Blythe doll when I had long hair. My espresso machine, my computer, I drew my notebook, my degree, my, I don't know, me reading. This is my dog. Yes. So, you know, I can write whatever. I mean, I can draw whatever in here. But I did buy an actual sketchbook because, I don't know, I felt like it. And I decorated it. I used to, when I was in middle school, I would sketch all the time. I still have them, but they're at my parents' house, or they're with my parents. And I would buy these like spiral bound notebooks. It would either be the really big, there's like the blue ones with like the XL like mixed media whatever cover. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you've like ever drawn anything. I would buy these like spiral bound sketchbooks, and I would decorate the cover. I would usually buy some kind of like scrapbooking paper for the background. Like one time I did one with like it was like a brick wall, and I made like the whole cover look really cute. And then I would just decorate the front with stickers. So I had this sticker from a friend of mine, and then this sticker also, it was from the same friend. Shout out Cheyenne. So she gave me these two stickers that I haven't used on anything else, so I put them on this. And then I just spelled out my name, and I put all these random stickers on it that are like, I went with like a pink theme, even though most of my like creative stuff is like not pink. It's like mostly green. Actually, that's not even true. I feel like these go together. It's just that my computer is green and I write on my computer, but I think it turned out so cute. I put a piece of pink construction paper in the background, and then, you know, and then I have been drawing weenies. I've been drawing weenie dogs because, oh, I got some glue. I want to practice drawing them because I want to, this is my dog trying to get food off the counter. Isn't he so cute? I want to maybe write a children's book about like my dog. So I've been trying to practice drawing dogs. Although I really want to draw on my iPad, but I lost my Apple Pencil, which I literally have never lost ever. I might have literally said this already in this actual video that I'm currently filming. Literally never lost it ever, had it for like 2 years, and then as soon as I want to start drawing on it, it's gone. Awesome. Literally like the least unique thing I could possibly show you, but I will be rereading it. I have a like actual decently sized, you can't see it, I have a pretty good sized collection of books about writing, like the craft of writing. I have one, two. I would show you, but then the angle will be different when I put my camera back. This is my shelf for writing books, and this is not even all of them. I think I probably have some more somewhere. And then I've checked out them from like libraries and such. But I have a pretty decent collection of, it got super white, books about writing, but this is what I have currently to read. I feel like it's been so long since I read it that like I just need to refamiliarize myself with it, because my problem is that when I first fell in love with writing, it was because of novels, because I like to read. And then I wrote like a million drafts. I've done NaNoWriMo like a million times. The reason that I like got introduced to Scrivener, which is the like writing software that I like to use, it's because I got like a 50% off coupon for Scrivener from doing NaNoWriMo 1 year. So super into like writing novels and all that kind of stuff. And then I've never finished a novel though. And my novels, like I go back and read them and it's like, they're not bad actually. But some things like, I don't know, they're not bad. But then I started college and eventually changed my major to creative writing. And then all of my writing was poetry. And I literally didn't work on it. I worked on one novel one summer, about a year into writing classes. So when I was a junior, because I changed my major halfway through college, so when I was a junior, whatever, not important. I quickly gave up because I was like, you know what, this is just not working. So now it's been so long since I've written a novel, I'm like, okay, I need to get back into novel writing, but it's like just not working for me for some reason. I got so accustomed to writing poetry. And originally I was like, okay, well, I think I need to study writing because what I want to do with work is write. I originally was a political science major, and I was like, okay, well, excuse me. Being a political science major is all, you know, fun and games and whatever, but I don't want to work in politics. So I'm like, okay, now I'm like, what do I do now? Long story short, I didn't want to work in politics. I changed my major. So then I was like, okay, well, I want to study writing because I feel like my books lack like soul and character, because I was so obsessed with, there's a reason that I bought all these books before college. Before I was a writing major, I bought all these books. I have so many books about how to write because I was obsessed with like novel structure and like, well, this is for screenwriting. I think she wrote one on book writing, like on novel writing, but whatever, you know, story structure. I was so obsessed with like different like ways my main one that I really liked was like the 27 chapters, 3 acts, like 9 blocks, whatever. I think it's some like outline structure. I was obsessed with outline structure, like chapter building. I was obsessed with outlining basically, and I was more interested in like the outlining and like the correct way to like build blocks for a story and like the craft of like writing a perfect outline, that I would put so much time into that, and then I would get tired of the idea by the time I went to write. And because I was not actually practicing how to write like prose and like human like people or human like characters, I would feel like something was missing from the story and I would kind of give up on it, and I would not have fun actually writing, and I was just obsessed with outlining. And especially with characters, like world building and like coming up with characters, I was obsessed with it. But my characters, I would put so much time into like filling out those like D&D like character worksheets. Like, what was your character's sock color in the nightmare they had in 3rd grade? Super specific questions that aren't like helpful to actually writing like a good human character within the actual like prose of your story. Does that make any sense? So that's what I always struggled with. So then when I went into my writing degree, I was like, okay, well, let me focus on just like how my words sound. Like, that's why I focused so much on poetry, because a lot of the classes I took were poetry classes, but a lot of them were just like creative writing classes. So even when I would write short stories, I would try to focus really more on how the words sound. Not in like a purple prose way where like I'm just writing to sound whatever and I'm neglecting the actual story, but because most of the stories that weren't poetry that I would write would be flash fiction. So it's like, that's kind of the point anyways, to be like mostly prose with like the essence of a plot, whatever. And then I was like, okay, and then after I graduate, I'll be able to mend them together, and is that even the right word? Blend them together and write a novel with like my love for outlining and like my knowledge of outlining with like the more evolved like craft or like voice I have as a writer. I guess my thing was trying to find like my voice as a writer, which I do think I found, but now I'm having a hard time combining it with novels. And I don't know if it's because novels are so long and I've gotten so used to like writing a condensed story in a poem or in flash fiction and then just like wrapping it up and putting it like, I like doing a project from beginning to end and then like moving on to the next project because it's very satisfying. And now that I'm coming back to novels after, you know, starting like not thousands, that's so, I mean, I started probably like 50 novels from like middle school to college, right? Or probably younger than middle school. I started so many books. I mean, when I was like really, really young, were they books? No, I was just having fun. But the point is, I'm trying to combine like how I used to like love outlining, writing novels with my ideas now. But because I used to spend so much time outlining and then realizing like I'd make a million Pinterest boards, I'd make the Spotify playlist, I'd make everything, and then the outline, and then, you know, I'd get sick of it, whatever, which is, I know now that's a very common thing, especially for like young writers or people trying to get into writing, because it's very, that's like the fun part, is like, ooh, here's an idea, here's the Pinterest board for the idea, which I will never stop making Pinterest boards for my books, okay? That is my pleasure in life. Everyone who knows me knows that me and Pinterest, making Pinterest boards. If I can make mood boards for a living for companies, I don't know, event planning, if I can figure out how to do that for a living, which I'm kind of thinking about trying to do somehow, I would, and I will, because I love like aesthetics. I love things that look aesthetically pleasing. I love making mood boards. I love it. 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 But I still do that, but because that was my problem, where I would just waste so much of the time trying to convince myself that I was writing and working on my book when I'm just making a super detailed outline I'm never going to flesh out. Now I feel guilty and like I'm doing something wrong when I do outline. And I've noticed I've been trying to I want to outline this novel because I did start working on it. I've written like 15,000 words of this novel since I graduated in May, so hardly nothing at all. Basically just sneezed on the keyboard like maybe twice. Since May, it's September. It's actually October, like tomorrow. But it's obviously not working because I'm looking back at oh my gosh, looking back over what I've written. And one, I don't like the prose. I'm trying to write how I used to write my novels before I went to school, and I'm not combining the way that I write poetry with how I used to write novels like I wanted, because I thought, well, this can be different. Like, the way that like my voice and like the way that I write my prose can be appropriate for novels. I can combine them, and I would enjoy it much more if I could combine them. It's just not how a lot of people write like fiction now, at least not the type of books that like you would see on like Book Talk or like, you know what I mean, which is not shade. Like that's genuinely not shade. It's just not how you would write like a contemporary novel or like a romance, because it's like a action drama mystery romance, very modern. Like it's, I don't know if contemporary is like a time period or a genre. I'm pretty sure it's like kind of both. It's like it's today action drama with like romance, maybe smut, you know. So it's like, that's not tea or shade. Like it's the type of like storyline that would be found in like a normal book from Barnes and Noble, but the way that I want to like write the words, does this make sense, is more like, I don't know, who knows, maybe in a future video I'll put like a snippet of like before and after of a chapter so you can see what I mean. But like, for one, first person is not gonna do it for me. First person is just really not it. Like, I've never actually really written a book in first person, but then like this book, people always say like the genre should have a major part in playing like what you choose to write in, like first or third person, which is like this genre. I feel like the genre I'm writing it in, it should, I don't know, if it was YA I would probably keep it in first person, but it's not, it's adult, so I feel like maybe third person, I don't know. All of this to say, I started the book without outlining much because, well, I outlined it a little bit. I outlined it very like snippet by snippet what should probably happen in each chapter and how I would want it to end. I've since scrapped the ending. I don't want it to end like that. I want the whole structure to be differently, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna wing it. No, I was definitely onto something when I first started getting into writing. I do need to plan. I need to have some sort of structure, for otherwise I don't actually write, because then I just write myself in circles and it's like fluff that doesn't, and I'm not one of those purists that think that fluff doesn't belong in books, and if your scene does not serve like an actual purpose in driving the plot forward, you should cut it. I don't believe that. I think that's kind of nonsense. But when it's only fluff that doesn't drive the plot forward, okay, well, now we have a problem. And I have that problem, and I'm realizing I need to go back, rewrite. I need to plot the entire book. So while I'm working on my prose collection, as to feel like I'm working on a project that is being productive, I'm gonna be plotting the novel on the side. So very, very long story short, that's why I'm rereading Save the Cat, because I'm like, okay, I need to get back in that mindset and like lock back in. Also working on The Artist Way. I feel like it's kind of working, because part of the reason I realized that I want to go back and outline the novel, and also why I was avoiding outlining the novel, because I feel like it's like lazy and avoiding work, even though that's straight up like not true. I will write it. I do have to outline it, was because of the journaling I was doing for The Artist Way, because I was like, why am I like claiming to be a writer and getting all like emo, because I feel like I'm like I'm lying. I literally feel like I'm sitting here lying to everybody about like being a writer because I haven't like finished a novel. Okay, well, like, why haven't I finished a novel? Journal. You will discover. Not really. Journaling is like the most basic advice I could give anybody, but it does work. And I'm reading East of Eden. Lost my bookmark, but I'm pretty sure I remember what page I was on. I am not very far into this book. I'm only 60 pages into this book. Is it the best thing I've ever read? Probably. Am I so just not locked in that I literally can't even like sit down and read a book? Yeah, another major problem. I feel like I need to go on like a technology detox, and only like I can create YouTube videos but not watch any. I think that's gonna be my new like vow for like the rest of the year. But reading East of Eden, love it. The last thing in my stack is jumbo crayons. This is what I've been drawing the weenie dogs with, and what I've just been drawing with in general. Jumbo crayons, they're ginormous, obviously. Look at that. It makes me feel like I'm in Blue's Clues. Something about it is just like really satisfying to draw and color with. I don't know. I bought it at the same time as I bought my sketchbook because I just wanted to like create something fun without any like pressure. So I very much recommend. I recommend buying jumbo crayons. That's my stack. That is what I'm doing right now. That's my lore. That's my hobby collection right now, basically. People are doing the like personal curriculum thing. I really want to do that, but I don't know how useful it would actually be like for me, or if it's kind of just like a fun thing. So we can consider this my personal curriculum. I'm working on plotting my novel, re-outlining my novel, re-familiarizing myself with like novel structure, and then also trying to read more. Just finish a book. I have not finished one singular novel this entire year. That's the first time that's ever happened to me since probably I was like, I could read. I think this is the first year I've ever not finished a book by this point in the year. I really want to finish East of Eden, but I think by reading more, I will also find it easier to write novels. Obviously, how can you write a novel if you don't read? You can't. And I just haven't read a novel in so long that I'm like, I think that's part of my problem. Hopefully my like want right now is to finish a complete draft of this prose collection by the end of the year so I can work on it over, I don't know, the holiday season, whatever. I would love to, I want to okay, since it's a prose collection, I really would love my novel, or my first like debut novel, to be a traditionally published novel. Will that happen? I don't know. I would like that to happen. That's my goal. But in the meantime, my poetry and those kind of things, I'm gonna just self-publish because like I don't mind, and I would love to be able to self-publish this by the end of the year, which is why I really want to find my Apple Pencil so I could design the cover, but I don't know where it is. I would love for this draft to be done in time for me to edit it and like self-publish it by the end of the year so I can have published something this year. I would love for that to happen, but who knows if it will happen. I'm gonna work on it right now. Is this a boring video? Probably, but I don't mind. It was a very yappy, get to know me video, basically. I would give like a little aesthetic tour of my workstation, but it's not aesthetic right now at all. So maybe next time. But anyways, that's all.